Yep. What going on? It's your favorite podcasters, Ja, and
It's an easy good night.
we're back again with another episode of the Same Difference podcast. How you doing tonight, Nisi?
I'm tired.
You tired from what?
Working on the plantation. We all got point our hours during the day.
I feel like it's always audit time or whatever wrong you man. What going on?
No, this is our fiscal year ending and like our closing and reopening of our new fiscal year. So it's a
Mhm.
super busy time for me
Okay.
personally. But yeah, I do have some super busy times of the year, and this is just June. June to like mid July is one of those things.
Gotcha. Well, I actually was off today, so I'm well rested and I'm ready for the episode.
Must be nice after your emancipation, Ollie.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like I asked for Tuesday, and the man put me on the schedule for Tuesday and Wednesday off. I was like, oh, 2 days in a row. Let me leave before they realize what they do.
Let me know you do your emancipation, Ollie. All right.
Well, we have a wonderful guest. She's back on. She's revisiting us because she has a few initiatives and some stuff that we want to talk about. We want to get into. You may know her. You may heard of her. Her name is the wonderful, the beautiful, the ageless, the timeless former Senator Nellie O'Reilly is back here with us. Hey,
Yeah.
big up VI340 Comics.
Hey.
Keeping everybody on their toes now. Every politician on their toes with this one. Look at woman. Good night.
Hey,
Good night.
wifey.
What you saying?
That's my wifey, my wifey.
As I was saying, hey, thanks for showing up. Please share the live so other people could see it. Introduce your friends. Let them know what's going on with Same Difference. Again, tonight we have Nellie O'Reilly. She's backstage. Can't wait to meet you guys. We're going to go into some initiatives. One of them is with Cruise Rock Versatile. You may have heard of this guy. He's not popular at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows him. He got a little initiative that Nelly is also a part of. She's been working. We've been working. We don't get into it, but you know what we got to do first? Hit you with that beautiful bean footage. Let's go. And we're back. There she is, the woman
Hi,
of the
guys.
hour. How you doing? For the few people that may not know you, know who you are, what you're into, can you please reintroduce yourself?
Oh, sorry, that was my phone.
Come on now. We're professionals. Come on now. What you doing? Can you
Not like you
reintroduce?
don't do this every week.
I know, right? Sheesh.
I did press it, but I guess I didn't like confirm. Sorry, my bad.
Oh shoot, I don't know that I did mine.
See?
Oh, come on
Don't
now.
throw stones in glass houses.
Mm,
I know, right?
for one thing, come on. Would you like to reintroduce yourself to the people out there listening?
Yeah, so I'm just Nellie O'Reilly, and I'm so happy to be able to join you guys tonight to talk about some of the ongoing initiatives that because it's not just me, a group of people that have decided that, we're not going to just complain. We're going to try to do something about the situation that we feel needs attention. And so I'm really grateful to be here this evening and share those initiatives with you. And hopefully you'll jump on board.
That's what's up. And we appreciate you coming to give us your time and speak to the people directly. Because sometimes, we want access to people, but we're unable to. So we appreciate your transparency for real.
Yes, we do.
Now let's get into it. So first and foremost, the youth. Everybody talks about the youth. They're our future, this, that, and the third. But sometimes it feels like, especially in the Virgin Islands, like we really aren't tapping into those resources in our young people. So you have an initiative going, or you're working on right now, a youth leadership initiative. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So it's not my idea. It all really mushroomed out of the post that I made several weeks ago, asking Virgin Islanders living abroad to come back home, and that took a life of its own. It became a topic of discourse across the territory and
Mhm.
beyond. And in one of the responses to the post, Roland Roebuck replied and said, "You know what, Nellie? Why don't you just host a youth conference and let's bring the youth to the table and let the youth tell us what they see the issues uh, being and how they would like to see adults address those issues." And I thought, yeah, sure, it's a great idea. And because I know Roland, I know that when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He's committed. He has access to a lot of resources. I knew that if we agreed to do it, that it would happen. Because I don't like to I don't like to commit and then not be able to follow through. And so that's how it began. And we started a Facebook chat, private chat, and ended up adding individuals who said that they would be interested in joining the initiative. And so we probably have like 17 or 20 individuals that have committed. And now we've bifurcated those 20 individuals into the core group that will lead the committees, and then those who have resources that can support the committees in different areas. And so Roland Roebuck is one of the chairs of the initiative, and he has shared with us a lot of ideas because he's done this before, and we're using that outline that he shared with us to come up with an action plan. And so now we're sharing these ideas with the group. We plan to host a couple of workshops for young people, and we wanted to culminate in a leadership conference next year, where they literally come to even, let's say it's a university is the venue that is chosen, and then we have breakout sessions, and we have people like yourselves and other people in the territory to come out and talk to young people about areas that they might be interested in, whether it's technology, whether it's finance. And so that's the long-term vision. The more immediate vision is to start going out into communities and talking to young people, and even tapping into some of the podcasts that I've seen come across my feed, and asking them to be part of this initiative, because we old people can't, we want to create the space for them, but they need to tell us what is going to work for them, because we don't all speak their language.
That's dope. That's dope. And I do wonder sometimes, is there like, for some, obviously not you, for some older individuals, is it a sense of like ego that they can't admit that, hey, I can't relate to these younger folks? Maybe it's time for me to step aside, or what's up with that, I guess.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I didn't hear the last portion.
So I'm not coming in clear still?
You kind of popped out a little bit.
You were clear, but
you
you
are
just kind of like cracked, like you just went
Gotcha.
out and came in a little.
the
All
last
right.
question.
So
Yeah.
I was saying basically, like, what do you think is up with that? Maybe I'm looking at it incorrectly, but is it ego or what? Because sometimes it seems as if older folks can't just like step back. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
let the younger folks with more vitality, I guess, and still ready to go, step into that place.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I have never felt like I need to hold on to anything. And maybe that conversation, that discourse is happening more around the subject or the area of government, right? And politics and policy making. Why? Because when I was listening to the group of young people that were talking about why old people don't step away, I thought about that for a minute, and I thought, well, exactly where is it that they want old people to step away from, or what is it that they want old people to step away from? It was evident to me that it was politics, policy making, and government jobs. And so I never worked for the government. I've always worked in the private sector. And I've always embraced young people coming in. I love mentoring. I love training. I mean, there's so many people out there now that are, in their late 30s that will tell you that they worked with me when they were in high school, because I love to see them thrive. And so, I don't know why some of people want to hold on. When we say the word old and young, it's kind of ageism, right? If you think about when someone is elected in their late 20s or maybe very early 30s, and you think back about their trajectory in elected office, it hasn't always been successful. I can think of three from like more current times. I could think of Figueroa Cervil. He had a rough time returning. I can think of Alvin Williams. I served with him. He had difficulties, and then most recently Javon James. And so you also have to be really honest about what is. It's not just age. It's also maturity, right? It's also experience. It's not just vitality. It's also commitment and the ability to be mature enough to hold your own and not fall into that trap, the trappings that come with those titles. And so we need to look at both sides. Are they old enough and experienced enough and mature enough to stay focused, and not end up like the last three that I mentioned?
True. VI 340 Comics says, but in general, older folks hold on and they're not in touch with the now. Now, I definitely agree with what you said about, seeing both sides, because in my understanding, in any position, to me, what you should do is always be training your replacement, because you can't do this forever, right? So I think that it would be, we need the people that are older or with more experience to be constantly training people coming up under them to go ahead and fill the position. But sometimes it feels like they're not really training their replacement. They're looking for job security, but it's like, you cannot be there always. You know what I'm saying? You're not immortal.
I don't know. I don't know if you wanted to jump inside before I comment on that.
Nisi?
Nisi, yeah, did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll jump in after.
Okay. I want to go back to the conversation that the young people were having, because I heard two things. I heard the young people say old folks just want to hold on and they're not in touch with the now, and so they still want to do things their way, and their way doesn't work, and the system is broken. They broke it. They need to get out of the way. But I also heard other people say they don't want to teach us. They tell us they want us to be part of the conversation, and they bring us to the table, but they're really not including us, right? I always used to say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? Well, yeah, if you want to be at the table, you definitely should have a menu in your hand, and you shouldn't be on that menu. And so I agree that perhaps young people feel like you're only included because you're young, but no one is really listening to you. But then I caution young people that, why do you want to learn from these people that you say broke it? If they broke it, you don't want to learn from them. You want to find the people who are willing to give up, who are buying in to a succession plan, because everybody should have a succession plan. You don't know if you're going to drop dead or end up sick and can't come back to work. And I don't want to work for the rest of my life. So I think we have to peel the onion, and we have to consider that there are more than just two sides to this conversation. There are those who want to hold on because maybe they can't afford not to have a job. There are those who maybe just want to stay in power. And then there are those who didn't do it right. And maybe those aren't the ones you want to follow. There was a gentleman at the Department of Health. I think he was in his early 90s. He was still there. When I was in the legislature, I couldn't understand for the life of me why that gentleman was still there. I kept asking, what does he really do? And everybody around him said, all he did was read the papers. The commissioner could not get rid of him. No, you couldn't force him out. You couldn't force him into retirement. Why? His wife died. He was lonely, and the job kind of kept him alive. Is it right? No. Was he taking up a space of somebody else? Yes. Was it costing taxpayers money and it shouldn't have? Absolutely. Why wasn't there a succession plan? Why wasn't he removed? Politics. Maybe they felt sorry for him, you know? So there's so many other things that we need to consider when we talk about age disparities.
True. Good points. Nisi?
Yeah, so my thought would be, do you think that the system is just too far outdated from where we are in 2025, that the gap is making it harder for us to close the gap? Because, these children are coming up in a more technologically advanced society where everything is more computer based, technology based, and so forth. And we know our government system is running on a lot of outdated systems. And well, we do know there have been some improvements in certain areas, because I don't want to make it seem like there hasn't been. Overall, it's just not all up to par. You still can't do a lot of things online. It's hard to make appointments to speak to the people that you need to do to get things accomplished. You can't even meet with the individuals that you need to in 1 week to get, a business, up and running, or getting the information. You need to know how to get it up and running at sometimes. Do you think that the systems are just too far outdated, that's causing the gap with filling in the space?
Yeah, I think that's a different, that's another branch of this tree, right? Because if you're bringing young people into systems that are really outdated, archaic, and how are they going to find their way, right? Because they're not, like you said, they're used to different technology. And while you were speaking, in my brain, I'm thinking, what's the solution? Maybe a solution is to create a team of troubleshooters, of young people that have all those technical expertise that the people that are currently in these jobs do not have. It would look something like, and don't shoot the messenger, but it could look something like Doge. You know how everyone was up in arms because Elon Musk brought all these young people that didn't have experience? That is a perfect example. Who said that they needed to have experience on, Social Security? Why? All they came to do was to see whether or not the systems that were being utilized were updated, whether the data was clean, whether people that were registered were in fact alive. I didn't see anything wrong with bringing young people in to do that, and I think maybe that's what this government needs to start thinking about. How do you narrow that gap? Is by creating a team of troubleshooters, bringing them in, and asking them look at it from this from this point of view, and tell us what are the things we can do better to improve it.
I'm not going to touch the Doge thing. So there's a couple comments.
I didn't say it was a good thing. I said they use young people, and I heard older folks saying they have no experience. And I think sometimes we insult young people when we say they don't have experience. I didn't have experience when I got my first job, but somebody gave me a chance.
No, I mean, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying with that. I just, like, you can't get experience unless they give you the opportunity to get the experience. I totally agree with that. That particular example, though, like, what?
It's the only, the only one. Okay, Nisi, do you know of anyone? I can't think of any other example where they brought a bunch of young people and said, here, run with this.
I mean, I understand what you said. I just think Doge was a horrible example, but I know what you're trying to say. I do think for Doge, though, I think if they're bringing people in, you have to bring people in who have an interest in the area you're bringing them in, so they have an understanding of what you're looking at. With Doge, they didn't have an understanding. They're just looking at numbers, not how the processes are used and how they actually function. And the reason I think that wasn't, we know that was a bad example, because now they're trying to find people that they fired that were critical to running certain departments. There weren't any real process of vetting, because they didn't have a process and they don't have the experience. So, but I understand bringing people in to look at what's happening, to see how can we make this better from your viewpoint as a consumer, from your viewpoint as the person executing the day-to-day tasks. How can we improve these processes and make it more functional for our community and a whole? I think that is a great idea.
Now, to your point, Nellie, the previous point, like, it does show that we need to bridge the gap, because if even in that example, if they had the the experienced people to show the new ones coming on, it could have been a beautiful thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I
The
get what you're
outcome would
saying.
have been better, obviously.
Exactly. Sure.
But I think that there was a level of retaliation, and there was a level of
Yeah.
evilness in what was happening. They weren't coming from a place of, with clean hands. And if the objective is to identify those gaps, and you want to improve processes, then bring young people who have interest in some of these areas. And I want to speak about just us, the Virgin Islands, right? What's happening over there is crazy. So, but I still heard older people say, these young people, they're barely out of high school. Some people just out of high school that don't go to college are brilliant.
True. That's the fact. That's a fact. I do want to touch on, because the comments are rolling in. I do want for you to get an opportunity to address some of them at least. Because Roland Roebuck, he is in there right now.
Yeah, Roland.
See. Roland says you need to develop a youth leadership institute in order to train young folk in assuming leadership in their future. Is that what's being worked on with this current initiative? That's
that is, yeah. That is the end goal. That's why I said we have short and long-term goals, and the end goal would be like a year from now having this leadership conference where they leave with some tangible knowledge and in their hands, and where we have listened to them, and we can help develop and grow them. I totally believe in mentorship, and for any young person that's out there, you don't have to know me, you don't have to like me. If you want to know, if you want to see how crazy it is to manage a jewelry making business, check, hit me up. I'm happy to bring you in. Sometimes I think I'm going to film the whole thing so people can see what it's like to run a business in this climate. And all of us that are in positions, whether it's in business or whether it's in government, open yourself up, bring young people in so that they can shadow you and they can see, and maybe they'll make up their mind and decide that's not anything that they're interested in. But don't guard the doors like, it's going to be the end of the, apocalypse.
Sure. And VI340 Comics, I want to get your stance on this. Mm-hmm. The only way y'all listen, he's referring to older folks, is with disruption. Shouldn't have to be disruptive just for change to happen. Considering the state of the Virgin Islands right now, is that what's needed? Disruption to shake up the status quo, or because there's a lot of status quo comments in the the chat right now too. What do you think?
I'm a disruptor and I'm old. I don't think that I think that disruption, it doesn't necessarily mean protesting or violence. I think disrupting is having these very uncomfortable conversations. So absolutely, if having these conversations, if protesting in front of Government House, if doing these things would bring attention to your concerns and shake up the status quo, I would support it.
You see what you think about that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, disrupt. So any change is a disruption to the current process, right? Once you're implementing something new, it is a change. It does cause some type of disruption, but it has to be structural disruption where there is a process in place to replace the process that isn't working. There's a goal and there's steps. There's long-term goals, short-term goals. There's check-in points to see, is it working? Are we progressing in the right direction? Are people receiving it as the way we plan to implement it, right? So disruption is great, but it has to be structured. And I think, something that someone can follow, because the goal is, if it's successful, then you need to recreate this in other areas of your government, or in government, because we're talking about government, because if you test it in one department, you have to be able to now mimic this in other areas. So it has to be a measurable tactic that's being implemented to do this. So yes, sometimes people don't like change. I understand. I have older parents, they're comfortable in their ways. We know how it is. Some people have been in those jobs for a long period of time and they've practically owned the process. So I do understand some people giving resistance, but some of them are aware as well too, like they can't do these things forever. And but so they need to have critical job line outlines of how these jobs are being performed. So when people do come in, there is a basis. At one time I remember I needed for my job, and I'm not gonna, we needed to get something done, and the person who could do it was out of the office for 2 months, and we couldn't get it done for 2 months because a singular person was not in the office. No one else knew how to get it done. So those type of things are what creates stagnation in the government. And I think, there needs to be a workaround in how do we manage these important singular people in these roles, and how are we making sure that we're being documenting to repeat these things once these individual is no longer in these roles.
All right, so that was great. Thank you, Nisi. I'm reading through these comments because I can't help but to. But it seems like there's a strong division, right?
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a gap. There needs to be a bridge to the gap for real. Because when I'm reading through the comments, there's a sense of animosity, young to old. You know what I mean? Like, how do we get past that even? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, we need to learn how to work together to make it work, because we need both the experience and the youth and you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we bring us all together? Because I feel like we're kind of in a middle. We're literally middle-aged, so we're in between. So how do we kind of pull those two things together?
I would say that, even from just that conversation that I heard the young people engage in, I was very impressed. I was actually excited for our future, right? Particularly because among themselves they disagreed on a few things, and they were civil about it. I do, however, believe that animosity that it was very palpable even in that panel. That can be bridged, I believe, with maturity from the younger people as they grow and mature more and understand that, like you said, change is not like it's disruptive, and it's not everybody's going to want it, and it's going to take time. But I would like us to shift away from what are exactly the jobs that are being blocked. Because if young people are just talking about government jobs, I want to hit the pause button and say, you can totally be so successful, and you can totally be a change agent, and you don't have to be in government, right? There's so many other areas that you can be impactful as well. And I think that this leadership conference aims at doing that. We don't want people thinking, I need to come home to go work in government. First of all, they don't pay you well. You're going to be frustrated. So let's see what other things you bring to the table, and let's help find you the path to success that doesn't include a government job.
Let me go through some of the comments again. Sorry.
It's a lot of comments.
Yeah, man. They're really engaging, and I love to see it. All right. So VI340 comment says, I'm going to give you an example. I spoke to senators on island and they dropped the ball. Who you think be hitting me up now? They don't even know who they're talking to. The same young person you gave the okie doke. I think one of the main things to bridge the gap between the elders and the youth is that we need to talk to each other instead of at each other. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. It does. Being open to understand the viewpoints of the youth is also key. And I agree with that, because it seems like, it comes off as animosity sometimes because a lot of the youth feel unheard, like they're not being listened to. And then they kind of get their voices pushed down, and then we end up in the same situations that we've been having. So that's another thing. But you also got to get, all sides to kind of listen without getting angry or feel some type of way like you're being attacked.
Yeah, well, there was an overgeneralization with the comment about I reached out to senators, they never got back to me, and now that they see me, now they're hitting me up. Guess what happened? You reached out to senators, whomever they were. They didn't come back to you. That doesn't mean everybody's like that. I don't know that you reached out to all of them, but it doesn't matter. You found another outlet. Like, they not responding to you caused you or created or opened the opportunity for you to find another outlet to have your voice heard. And now they're going to hear you. Now they want to hear you. Now they're going to listen. So maybe that was meant to happen because it pushed you towards this. And that's why I say, keep the conversation going, young people. Keep it going. Let's try to be moderate about it, or be less, have more harmony in the conversation. I guess it would be the word. But you have every right to be upset and to feel unheard, and you have every right to express it. And people either have to accept it, or they can move on.
Yeah, because sometimes hearing that stuff like can be hard to swallow. You know what I'm saying? Like having someone younger than you tell you, "Hey, your generation messed this up for us." That can be hard to digest, and I understand, but you kind of have to listen through that.
You gotta remember, you two were young once, right? I know I was young once. I don't remember what my opinion was. I was never in government, but I thought I knew it all, and I thought I was pretty smart, and and there were people in my life that embraced me and gave me an opportunity. So I feel blessed. I when you said this generation, mash it up. We did. We continue to mash it up. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
We did. We make promises, but then these are the same young people out there on election day dancing, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, ba 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 ba. And I don't even know if they're voting or not, but they're in your face. The same young people. So you can't have it both ways. You're going to the campaign event, you're electioneering for people, and then they turn their back. Learn your lesson. Find your voice. Get a platform and sting them. And next time they come asking you to come parade on election day, say no.
Gonna breeze through these comments so nobody feels neglected. Back in 1998, the talks of did you have something to say, Nisi?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Back in 1998, the talks of using water energy as a source was dubbed. Here we are in 2025 trying to secure a new energy source to continue bleeding the people's pockets, even after being told solar isn't efficient. No one listened. Look at where we at. What is there to listen to at this point? Insanity, doing the same things and expecting different results. Roland is asking, what should be the role of UVI in developing our future leaders?
Yeah, I'm so glad that Roland asked that, because we talked about using UVI campus as a location for the conference, for the leadership conference, and I don't know what UVI is actually doing to build leadership. But if you go look at the professors there, I mean, they're aging out too, and they're holding on to, right. And I don't see UVI taking any active role in developing young people. I attended a few of their forums, and there were probably 3 people in the audience. And so UVI needs to step up and start building some leadership from within, and being more involved in the youth, in building our youth. Because I don't know the answer, Roland. I don't believe they're doing anything, but maybe someone listening or watching knows.
Because sometimes they have so many things going on, it's hard to kind of sift through it. Jungle had a good comment. Change isn't comfortable. It's not a routine, and the issue is, no matter what happens, one thing that is constant is change. Too many high rankers, duplicitous words, statements sure do need change. Yeah, we got to get to action. Danielle says, bridging the gap takes action, and the level of animosity that exists among our generation in grounded economic oppression and the emotional matrix that exists. We've been having the same discussions for decades, which ends in the same results.
What generation is she from?
I'm not sure. I know that's a beautiful picture, though. That's a hell of a profile.
Come on.
But I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I just had to.
You're really not.
Because I like to know the reference of this generation is it's
Yeah.
a young, it's a older generation.
So Danielle, if you could let us know, which generation are you a part of? Policymakers in the islands are not deeply aware of the challenges faced by our youth. Could be fixed by listening. They're listening because they don't know who they're listening to. Jungle says harmony just isn't it. Sometimes taking another route is effective too. But like Nisi was saying, because I was I shut up when you said what you said, because I was going to say something similar. We keep trying to react to things, right? And think that that's us like making change, when sometimes disruption isn't just going crazy. And I understand, because Martin Luther King once says, a riot is the language of the unheard. However, too often we end up unstructured, and we end up being guided missiles with no GPS. We don't know who to target. We don't have nothing like focused. We're just mad and dropping bombs.
Yeah.
And
causing probably damage in the wrong areas.
Exactly. You mad at WAPA when you should have been talking to, DPNR or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even know who or where the problem is. We're just angry and putting it out there. Daniel is a part of the millennial generation.
Okay.
That's the establishment that we are sick of. Come sing and dance if you want a job once I get elected. That is something we need to break. There's Darren from Dialogue 340 right there. Hola.
Hey, Darren.
Strategize disruption. That's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to have a focus, a strategy. You can't just be doing anything. Here we go. Anyway, so raise the whole thing and start over. I keep talking this fire bun talk with no one there to rebuild it.
Well, it's not only that. It's the clean up after the fire burn. That they're gonna be like, also who gonna clean up? It wasn't you out on the street, so you don't think you need to come clean up too?
Well, you know what I'm thinking is, and with all due respect, to disruption and strategic disruption, the thing is, you talk about it, and then when you show up that morning, that 40 morning, to do what you want to do, you're gonna look back and there's gonna be nobody there but just yourself.
Nobody there. Facts.
And that's what I find. I find that while I am an advocate for change and I want to see change, there is a large quantity of us vocalizing it, but a small number of repetitive people trying to actually implement it. People aren't, and sometimes I understand that the processes are frustrating, but that's where we want the change, because it is frustrating. So we have to go through the frustration to get the change we want to see. Our voices collectively is very powerful if we're focusing it on the right things. And sometimes I feel like I understand the frustration because I experience frustration. I live here in the Virgin Islands. I'm a born and raised St. Croix Crucian woman. So I get all the frustrations that we experience. And but I also see that when it comes to these meetings and so forth, it don't happen. A great example, I'll just give a great example, would be schools. And when it comes to PTA, when our parents they don't come to PTA meetings, but they want change. And one of the most effective tools of any PTA, any school change is PTAs. And, I've seen it firsthand, stateside as well, because I have many relatives stateside, that when the PTA open their voice and say things happen, because they are a united front with one goal, and that is to push the benefits or the betterment of their school forward. We don't have a united front with most of these schools. I've sat on PTA boards for my kids. I've sat on PTA boards for schools that my kids aren't even going to. So I'm not speaking out of turn. And so I've been to these meetings where parents don't show up. They don't even read the emails we send out with the information about what we're doing and what we need help with to mobilize if you don't come to the meetings. So again, we are very vocal and we shall continue being vocal, but we have to be more focused on being effective and hands-on to implement the change that we're vocalizing we want to see.
Amen, amen. And we shouldn't be like, it starts there though. It starts at participation in PTA and town halls and showing up, but people don't show up. But they want this big radical revolution. If you can't show up for your kids' sporting event, how are you going to show up when it comes time to actually do construction and when what needs doing to get done? How are you going to show up for that then? You got excuse for everything.
Exactly.
But we're talking about young people, and the fact that there seems to be a desire to be disruptive, and if the desire to be disruptive is serious, right? Then I would like to suggest that you have to be inside. If you have to be inside of the beasts, of the belly of the beast, to light the fire and burn the belly of this beast. And that would be by preparing yourself and running for office. If you don't like the senators that are there, they're too old, they they're too flippant, no one really responded to you. Well, prepare yourself, run for office. You want to know what to do? I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. I'm sure there are other people out there that will be happy to assist. You already have an edge on technology and using social media, and you start there. Just put your hat in that ring, be in that arena, get bloody with everybody else. And that is where you're going to start change.
I love it. I love it. I do have a question for you because you were a part of, the establishment itself. You are speaking from experience. You've done it multiple times. Now, these issues tend to be systemic. You know what I'm saying? Now, being a part of the establishment, how do you, as one person, even becoming a part of it and trying to fight it, how do you join the establishment and try to fight against a system from within that's already structured in a way to fight even against that?
Yeah. The system is built to fail, and it's built to frustrate you. But we are a very young government, right? If you consider how young we are compared to America, there is still a lot of greed, a lot of resistance in this government. But change happens one funeral at a time or one retirement at a time. And what the young people have in their in their arsenal is what we don't have. They have years. And I propose to you that this system you can take it down. You can bring this system to its knees if you collaborate, if you are determined, because you have the years to do it. In my opinion. And I go back to being a very young government. Because we're so young, we still get things very wrong because we're more focused on jobs for ourselves and for the people, for our relatives. We're more focused on contracts for ourselves and for our friends than the overall common greater good of the community.
I think people do forget that when they become a part of the system, that you're supposed to be working for the majority. Like, I think that gets lost in the sauce sometimes. Our current state is our fault. We had people who continuously sell us out to have a house in the hills to look over the proverbial peasants.
I don't know what that even means. Like, are we saying things that are poetic, or are we saying things that are facts? Like, are there people buying homes in the hills to look down on the peasants? I mean, is that a thing?
Well, some, yes. We've had the Virgin Islands has had its own, like, let them eat cake moments, literally, within the past couple months. So he's not entirely wrong. He's not.
I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm saying that I wasn't sure if that was some kind of a line from a poem or something.
Yeah,
or there was a real fact that he or she was identifying happening here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
because I also feel that sometimes you hear young people speak, and please, I'm not talking about the members of 340, but I'm around young people all the time, and I work with nothing but young people. And sometimes I hear them speak, and what I hear them say is what they might be hearing from their parents, right? The frustration and all of these things that are happening, and not necessarily something that they themselves are living through. And then I know many young people who are struggling, single moms who to your point, just don't have the energy to go to any of these meetings because they're tired, they're working all day, and they have a couple of children. And so maybe we need to be a little more Zoom friendly for parents and PTAs. And there are just pockets of young people that are struggling and going through different experiences. Not all of them are single, without children, employed, and able to help themselves.
True. And that goes along with, just changing with the times. Like we have Zoom options and stuff like that. Like and certain things, why are you doing this in between work hours, like regular work? You know what I mean? Like, come on, do you want me to come or not? But I feel Roland says you need to analyze the role that some politicians play in increasing their finances and how that action freezes them from implementing policies for the benefit of the majority. Why are we fearful of challenging those bad habits? Small communities, one. Amelie Mo, trust me, there are. These great minds are extinguished by the establishment. She's referring to the problem is there's no new visionaries. And I agree with Siobhan. A lot of them are being extinguished, and they feel they just shouldn't have to fight so hard for a vision that they think could work or would help. You know what I'm saying? Like some people get tired of fighting.
Yeah.
They do. Because I think for the most they're fighting, their visions doesn't align with the outdated system they have to use to implement it, right? So if the system itself isn't being upgraded at some point, like then it's just never going to be as effective or effective at all, because it's never going to be done in a way that affects the masses in a positive way. It's going to just be the struggling woes of failure because you can't get this thing executed because of the way the process that you have that's currently in place, and your fight is to change the process to improve the process. So it's like almost like a continual roller coaster of different ups and downs. But again, I think that the goal should be that you're riding different roller coasters in order to get to the end. It should not be the same roller coaster every single time. So I do understand like being a visionary is very difficult because you know what you see and how you want to see it. And what I think people also, when you're doing these things, is you have to look at what is currently there. Having a vision to change something is great, but you have to also look and study what you're fighting against to know what because waiting until you get in the office to then figure out what the process is to fight against it is redundant. Because you're going to be starting from zero. Because then you have a vision, but you never look at what tools you maybe have at your disposal to even start to make an effective change. And so there has to be a gap filled in for that as well, so people don't feel burned out. And of course, other people aren't trying to extinguish you as well, because you're coming in with all these grand ideas and like, that don't work over here. And so that attitude as well is a problem.
You remind me of something my business partner told me back in the day when I ran. He said, "Okay, Nellie, I know you got all these great ideas, but you can't walk in there with all these ideas. They're gonna think you're crazy." I will never forget that, because yes, you go in there, with all these beautiful ideas, and then you figure out, well. And to another point is, not everything is broken. I mean, there are some things that are working, and if they're not perfect, they might need tweaking. But not everything is broken, right? So let's be fair. But the whole visionary thing is, you can't just send one young person in there, or two young people, or three young people. You got to find yourself 10 or 12 young people who can actually replace the people that are there. And the Youth Leadership Conference wants to build capacity in our young people. We want to teach, we want them to hear what other people are doing away from here, how they're changing lives and communities every day, so that they can take some of those knowledge and skills and expertise and put them to work here in their community. And if you get a slate of 12 or 13 young, vibrant, smart, hardworking, committed young people who want to run for office. That's the slate we push. And you bring you bring your friends, and you make that you tell them you want change. This is how you're gonna get change, and you go in there with a platform. And you have to be prepared. So right now you can go on the Department of Finance website. You can go on the IRB website. You can get all the revenue reports for every month. You can get the financial audits that are done for the government every year. You can start doing your own comparisons. You can start doing your own, due diligence and understand government finances and speak from a place of knowledge and run for office so that you can make a difference.
I love what you said there, because I was trying to get that across, but it's kind of hard to text earlier on Facebook. Like, you can't change the entire system by yourself. It needs to be a group of you on the same path, like-minded people. It takes more than just you to say, I gonna come from the States and change the entire government around. That's unlikely. But Daniel made a great point. Also, I think it's challenging to see tangible results in our economy if we're spending ample amount of time on doing damage from previous administration. So even if you do go ahead and try to be a senator with all the intentions and all the people, like, you still have to spend most of your 2 years just undoing damage from before you. I get exactly that. That makes a lot of sense. It's true.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And hope that you get reelected so you can implement the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And we got you. I want to touch on at least most of your stuff. It's almost an hour already. Dang. All right.
What's important is that we're talking about the youth and the Youth Leadership Conference. And I hope that young people who are watching or listening will be willing to jump on this bandwagon. We don't want to lead it. We just want to give you the tools. Let you do you. We just want to help give you the resources.
Now, you have partnered up with a lot of people in the Virgin Islands already. One of them is Cruise and Rock. And Cruise and Rock.
Cruise Rock.
And you, along with others.
Not Cruise
Rock.
Cruise
Not
Rock.
Cruciano.
A Time for Healing. A Time for Healing Summer Tour, Youth Workshop, U.S. Virgin Islands. What is that, you may ask? Well, we have the video of him explaining exactly what that is.
Hey, yo, it's your boy Cruise Rock. And as you guys know, yesterday I put out a post about A Time for Healing, a summer tour and youth workshop. We are also looking at doing a concert at the end of the summer. And this would be a peace concert, right? This would be a tribute to those that have lost their lives in the Virgin Islands. We are trying to put a stop to violence. We are trying to help the youths, mentor the youths. We are also trying to raise funds for the youths for back to school. So we need the help of the community. We need artists, we need DJs, we need entertainers, we need production assistants. We need venues, we need a lot. You understand? So if you're an EDC company, if you're a local business, if you're an entrepreneur, we are looking at you for your help in making this happen. We want to make a statement, good over evil, and if we come together as a community, we can make this happen. So please, in the comments below, leave your name, leave your thoughts, leave your ideas. We are going to be creating a system to where people can contact us who want to help in organizing these events and making it as big as possible. Thank you guys so much. Share, like, comment, sound it.
So you've partnered with Cruise Rock and Friends. Can you tell us real quick a little bit about that initiative?
Very quickly. I've been calling out on the churches and, to come and help. And I had very little results from that. And one night I got a text from him. Hey, Nellie, this is so-and-so. I'd like to do something for the young people, a healing concert. Would you like to be a part of it? And I said, absolutely. That's how it happened. He reached out. I think he was touched by the violence. He knows, as a young man himself, growing up here. And And so, yeah, we are excited to help, to be part of this in any way that we can. And the group that we have created already, we're going to see how we can use those resources to help them. We'll do some sponsoring. I love the idea. Music brings people together, particularly young people.
Thank you. And you have an initiative concerning school buses as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it was just a random question whether we can take the old retired school buses and turn them into pods for the homeless people, the unhoused, more politically correct. And but the good news is that there is this coalition of the Homelessness Council that meets monthly, and we just had a meeting last week, and we heard from a group in Vero Beach, Florida, that has already perfected retrofitting RVs and buses into moving homes for the homeless. And so you just go in the afternoon and you sleep, and you get up in the morning, and then they have a compound where they have showers and they have cafeterias and all of that. And so it looks like from the conversation that last week that things will be happening very soon to address some of those concerns that we have. And maybe the Abramson buses can be repurposed for that. I think Tony Emanuel said he's going to work on that. A lot of exciting things are happening.
Let's see. Nisi, you got any questions about the initiative, youth leaders, any of that?
The Cruise Rock event, that's this summer that they're trying to do that healing concert?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's aiming for August before school starts. Things do move slow. That's why he's asking for, people that are in production and stage and all of that, because it's we don't have a lot of time. But if we can touch the lives of 50 young people, then we've done something good. And it's probably something that can happen on an annual basis. And maybe other performers will join.
True. Yeah, we just got to get the word out. How can we assist? And I'm talking about anybody that may see this, anytime they see the clips or whatever. How can we assist in helping to grow and make that youth leadership initiative a success?
You can assist by making sure that you tell young people that this is happening, encouraging them to participate. We will be sharing more information. Honestly, we don't make, I know Rolando is not going to, Roland is not going to commit to something he's not going to make happen. And I'm not going to be part of something that's going to fail. None of us will. Everybody that's on this team is serious about this. I'll keep you guys informed. I'm asking you to consider, and asking Roland to be part of one of your podcasts, so that he can explain all the resources that he can bring to bear from DC. And this is going to be an effort, not just by people here, but also by Virgin Islanders living abroad, who can help our young people, by guiding them. The University of the Virgin Islands is another organization that you might want to invite someone to your show from there and ask them what exactly are they doing to help build our capacity among our young people.
Good idea. I will get on that. That's a great idea. Venice says the problem is instead of working together, we work against each other. Too much jealousy and backstabbing instead of coming together to be greater as a whole. I know many who would love to pack up and come home, but just like y'all who are home have a job and working. We need a fair opportunity to find a job. We all have lives and responsibilities. Also, the narrative I'm seeing within businesses, home, everything is all good when we are on the same level. Like, for example, if we are all cashiers.
Wow. Powerful.
Now, we can't let you go, right? Without touching on the post, man. The post that had the whole VI rocket. Because we want to hear it directly from your mouth. So there was this post you made a while back, some months back, that had just everybody talking, and it opened up a U.S. Virgin Island wide conversation. So now that we have you, we'd like to hear your views on it. Virgin Islanders living abroad, please come back home. We need you. We can do this. You see, 449 comments, 494 shares. So this was viral. So please, can you please tell us what was going through your mind when you made the post? Like, what were you trying to say? Because there's only so many words that you use and then it could say so much though.
I know. First of all, it was genuine and very authentic. I mean it. Um, I don't want to have to leave St. Croix. I've been here my entire life. I'm fortunate that I can travel when I need a break. Not everyone is, but I get to compare. I get to see the things that we're lacking, and I know that it's not impossible because we are a small territory. We're a small island. We can get it right. If anybody can, we can. And so I was just trying to. I was just appealing to people who left, who have made a life, who are successful, who are considering coming home, to just do it already, right? And if you're not ready to do it, then help us from afar. You don't have to be here on the ground, to help us to help us by bringing your resources to bear, by helping us to resuscitate the think tank that existed in DC. You can still be part of the change, and you can still help improve our islands, and you don't have to be on the ground. But we need you. And it was an appeal that came from my authentic self. And there was no intention of creating all of what came about. But I'm glad that it opened up a conversation, and now people are more willing to express their hesitation, I guess, to come home. I don't want to be the one to turn off the light and have to when I leave at all. I really don't.
Why do you think it took off the way it did? And like, I mean, it was in the consortium. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like it got widespread attention for less than a paragraph. Why do you think that got so much attention?
I don't know. I wonder myself, because I was driving, it was raining, the potholes were so huge, and I was so frustrated. I'm like, oh my gosh, this just, we have to do something. How can we fix it? And I'm thinking, we need to bring our people back. You know, everybody's leaving. It's just like we're changing. Who we are is changing. And I don't know if the post just happened to pop up at a time when people were feeling the same level of frustration. And it took a life of its own. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. What I can tell you, though, is that it appears to have now created, at least within a few of the podcasts, a conversation that has, in what I can see, has resulted in a lot of people saying, I'm coming back home. I'm restoring my parents' property. I'm buying property. I'm not selling my property. So maybe the conversation needed to happen at all those different levels for people to see that St. Croix and St. Thomas and St. John still hold hope.
Lacey, what do you think?
It did create a very wide discussion across the different social media platforms. So I do agree with you. And thanks for just explaining your point of view when you made the post. And again, I love that a lot of people, like you said, were able to vocalize their reasons why they can't come home, what's hindering them, the things that are in our way as roadblocks. They even had suggestions of how we can improve things, and so forth. So I hope that the conversation doesn't die, because people are very 10 seconds away from the next trending thing. And so I hope that it's something that we continue to revisit, build on, and use the ideas, and try to find the best way to implement some of those changes that can happen. I will say that there have been a lot of positive changes in the community. Sometimes the negative does outweigh the bad. The intent is to continue to push until there's more positive than negative. We know that it's never going to be easy. I would hope to like to see it in my lifetime, but I do have children, so I would like to see it at least at some point they get to experience the fruit of that. So that's, always the intent on my end as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I think one message that was very consistent was that healthcare, right? That people who want to come home, they want to retire. They're ready to retire and come home. It's healthcare. And I hope that elected officials and policymakers and people in the healthcare sector saw that and are called to act, because that is the one common denominator, regardless of your age: healthcare.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I also
Absolutely.
want to thank you for that, for actually like putting it out there. And I did notice that you made it clear that that was your authentic self, because I think people tend to, like, I know for a fact, us as content creators, right? Like, we identify as content creators. You could post something and you just had a thought and you post it and it takes off. And then people just assume you're rage baiting or you wanted this reaction. Sometimes it's really not that serious. Like, I just woke up, I had a Facebook asked me what's on my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, but so thank you
You,
for doing that,
do I
because the
have
conversation went on with the government house.
do I have a minute?
Of
30
course.
seconds?
Take as
Listen,
much time as you want.
listen. This is how it went. I landed. It was raining. I got wet once I was walking off the plane. I go to the bathroom at the airport, and there's no paper, and there's water everywhere, and the stalls are broken, and the toilet seats are dirty. Then I go to the baggage claim, and it's dark, and there's flies, and there's people picking up their luggage, and the cocktail booth was sticky with rum that had not been cleaned. And then I drag my suitcase across the broken parking lot, get in my car, and I try to pay at the gate, but it's pouring rain and there's no shelter. And the lady in the booth, she doesn't want to get wet, and I don't want to get wet. And she doesn't have any change. I'm like, well, can you take a credit card? And I was literally driving out of the airport, and then there are no stripes. Nicely paved road, but no stripes. I'm thinking, this can't be happening in like my first 15 minutes back on island. That experience was horrible. That triggered that post, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it literally is history. It made its way to government house, and now the governor talking like he thought it up. Like, like, come on, dude.
I was like, it was a comedy of errors that were happening to me that day, that I'm like, please come home and help us fix this mess.
I understand the post 100% better now. That made perfect
Thank
sense
you.
to me.
For sure. Yeah,
There you
it
go.
wasn't rage baiting. You weren't just, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, see, this is why sometimes you need to get the context and get it from the person directly. Who would have thought that you were just having a bad day and it was like, man, help, help.
Ah, come home, please. I gotta let my dog out just quickly.
All right, let me read these comments here quick. They going ham today. Van Ace said, I'll come home when the baseball stadium in West is built. Jerica, be here in 2 years. Okay, it's been torn down before I had kids. They're getting ready for college now. I think honestly it intensified when the governor chimed in. It was intense. And
No,
then
it was already.
Yeah.
The train left. The train left.
Exactly. It didn't intensify when he talked about it. I think he made us mad.
He did. For me, he did.
Instacart?
He could have addressed it a lot better.
Like, why is this man
better.
talking like he's not in a position to do anything? Like, does he know he's a governor now?
I wonder that myself sometimes. like how can it be 8 years and not have something that you could call a legacy? That's it's sad.
Yeah, but it pains me. You know, that's your guy. That's your boy, man. Hey, whatever. Welcome back to St. Croix. I know that feeling. Raspat says, I applied to over 10 places back home. I signed up with labor. I followed up with various jobs, and I got answered with rudeness and cliched answers like, we will call you once we review your resume. The positions I applied for, I qualified for, but was not given an opportunity for any of those businesses. And this man got a hell of a job too, like that he's been working for a long time. So he got the qualifications. He ain't lying. I feel you. I know how to feel watching it go down, then sit empty with no movement year after year. Talking about the ballpark? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would assume it's the ballpark.
Why do you, okay. what do you think the issue is with that? The ballpark seems to be a very like, it really upsets people. But if you tell someone that isn't from the Virgin Islands that this is a major issue, they might not understand. They'd be like, it's just a ballpark. What's the big deal? Why do you think that's a major issue for us?
Well,
Because it's been building for the last 10 years or so.
10 years? You kidding me? Listen.
The governor gonna be in for 8. They started under MAP. MAP was in for 4.
No. It started under the Young.
Yes, well, they demolished it under the Young.
It started. Well, there's a long history of it because it started when MAP was the PFA. When MAP was in the PFA, and they did the first rendition of what it was going to look like. It was going to be beautiful, very pretty. That was made very small, and they changed the footprint. This is what I believe the problem is. The problem is that I want the governor, whomever the governor is, to please finish something, because if you finish it, then the next governor who comes isn't going to be able to just stop it, because they don't want you to have credit for it, because it seems to be all about credit. You know, oh, it was too small, oh, it was too big, oh, I don't like the contractor, or I didn't like the design. Like, just finish the project, please. You're not going to sleep inside of the damn thing. Just finish the project. The people at Frederiksted want it. The people at St. Croix want it. It's costing us more money every year.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. It didn't get finished under one governor. When the next one came, he wanted to undo it, and then it didn't get finished. And then the other one came and said that's not a priority. Right?
It's like the port in West is 500 and something days overdue. Like, why we can't finish renovate? Why? I mean, I know there's a reason why, but 500 plus days over, like, what is that thing is sitting there, and the longer it sits there, the more it accumulates cost, because there's equipment that's sitting there that I know those vendors are going to be compensated for, because you're not going to leave my equipment there sitting there for no usage and I'm not being paid for that. That's not going to happen. So it's like, while there are things that are being done, and are things that have been successful, there are things that are being completed, and things that are on the way and in the pipeline. It's the timeline that it takes to get any one thing completed is the issue.
Yeah.
Like, school's been out. Hurricane was 2017. These schools have been closed. They've been supposed to rebuild. And I'm not saying that they're not working on it. I'm not saying that things aren't on the way. I'm not saying that there's things in place, but I'm just saying it takes so long that we lose faith in the process of things being accomplished, or even realistically, can it be done? Is everything just going to take this long to be completed? Like, you know, so that's where I think a lot of the frustration that we continue to have with, when they say like, oh, something's done, people are chiming with, oh, something negative. It's because, can we not multitask and complete with the one thing at the same time? Or another example would be the road right there by Trailer Park. We just opened that bridge last year. It's already closed again for underground electrical wiring. Is that needed? Absolutely, it's needed. Absolutely, we have to do it. Great. Why wasn't it done simultaneously when there was already dug up for the bridge? And the bridge was temporary in the first place, because I guess it's not the permanent bridge. So at some point, they have to come back and close the road again to make the permanent bridge.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't going to bring up the horse track, but somebody
We didn't
else
even going there. I don't have
Yeah,
time for it.
I think another frustrating part of this whole the ballpark and the horse racetrack and all of that is that you don't see this, you know, maybe to some extent they are, but not as much delay in construction completion in St. Thomas. And so I think St. Croix feels like, why can't we just finish something? Yes. You know, why? And I don't know if it's, you know, like, we need leadership in Government House that can bring the territory together, that can really make a case and appeal to everyone that we are one territory, and that St. Thomas is only as strong as St. Croix, and St. Croix is only as strong as St. Thomas can be, and that we have to coexist because we need to build the economy on St. Croix in order to continue to grow our revenues, our tax revenues. And that message, I think, has to be very, very, it has to be succinct. And it has to be repeated every time there is a press conference. It's not that St. Thomas is better, that things happen faster. No. These are the priorities, and St. Croix is our priority, and these are the reasons. And I think St. Thomians will buy into that. And us Crucians won't feel like we always have to end up with the short end of the stick.
Facts. Facts. We really shouldn't even have to be looking at other islands like our competition. Tell you the truth, it shouldn't be like that at all. Like when you run for whatever position you run for all three. You know what I'm saying? Like, but hey, anyway. Thank you so much. Thank you. This was a dope episode. It's always great to have you on, and you're always transparent. You call names, you say what you gotta say at them. Well, that's what it was.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed myself.
For sure. And if Mr. Roebuck would love to come on, we'd love to have him on so we can go a little deeper into all of those in that initiative.
He's the architect of that initiative. He's the architect, and he should come on.
Exactly. So he could give us some details. We could get details, like, you know what I'm saying, from him. He should be able to. Yes. All right, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. Go from there. Do you have any final words for the audience? Because they've been talking all night.
Oh, good. I'm glad that they tuned in. I hope that the young people who listened are reach out to me, please. I'm serious about mentorship. I am serious about having conversations. I don't have to be on your show. I'm not looking for attention. I just want to show you that there are people who really truly want to hear what you have to say. I'm serious about encouraging you to form a slate of candidates and give it a shot. You never know. Change starts with you. And so it's been an honor to be part of this, and I look forward to you guys taking part in our youth leadership conference as it develops.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we're definitely always down for the youth and to support our own, because we want to see everybody win. We want to see the entire Virgin Islands win, because we can. Nisi, what are your final words?
My final words would be thank you again for coming on and giving us a continuation of what you're doing in the community and what you're trying to do and implement in the community. We appreciate it. We do encourage other people like you and like minds that if they want to have those conversations, we're open to having those conversations. And I want to talk to people I want to thank the people in the comments, because you guys were just going ham. And it just shows how passionate you are about our community, how passionate you are of wanting to see change, effective change, and long-term change. And I think that we have to continue these conversations. We have to not just talk, but we have to be more active in ensuring we're getting results and being in the right circles and in the right rooms to make sure that we're vocalizing and implanting ourselves in these areas to ensure that what we want to see for ourselves, for our children, for our future is being done and will get done. So thank you guys so much for your passion. We appreciate it as always.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you once again, Nellie, for coming through. We really appreciate this time with you and your candidness. Everybody that was in the comments, thank you so much for engaging. If you could go ahead and share the live, tell your friends about Same Difference. This is your first time watching us. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Same Difference 2022 or TikTok at Same_Difference_pod. YouTube is VI_very_own. It's important to subscribe because on the YouTube, you can watch these full episodes, not just see the clips, and the other sites you cannot, because Facebook is taking down live videos now after 30 days. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and follow us. Follow the initiatives. Go ahead and follow Nellie also, because she has a lot going on and she believes in the Virgin Islands. As you can see, she's putting in the work. Now, what I do want to say, right? We have to stop waiting for a savior to come and save us. The time is now. Like, I don't think that the Virgin Islands has much more time to dilly-dally and not start putting in the work. Like, we have to stop waiting and stop trying to put everything on anyone else's shoulders. Those senators, they're also community members just like you. You are a part of the community, so you need to get active as well. You can't just wait and say, oh, government need to do this. Oh, they need to get out there and do the work too. It's like, stop waiting for somebody to do it for you. I understand you pay taxes and stuff like that. However, how long are you gonna let yourself be rolled over before you said this is enough?
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and share the live. We'll be back Sunday on 101.3's live stream between 4 to 6 p.m. A different day with John Nisi. Yeah, we gonna stay in our face, man. All right, but I'm Ja. That's Nisi. That's Nellie O'Reilly. It's been Same Difference. We love you. We out.
Good night.